Well, hello, Quest. It's good to see you. Here we are in the latter part of June. In fact, we just passed the longest day of the year. June 21st usually is about it. And so now we're headed into shorter days. It'll be very minuscule day by day, but actually it's happening. But they don't seem to be getting cooler. They seem to be getting warmer, or at least staying very warm. But that's summer in St. Louis. So here we go for a great summer season. During this particular kind of video newsletter, I want to address a couple things, really just one. And we've been asking ourselves a couple of key questions here, day in and day out, trying to answer it well. But one of those questions is, how will a church remain relevant in today's somewhat or maybe significantly adversarial environment, the conditions? I'm sure you've noticed, but obviously our country's been through a lot. The world's going through a lot. But here in the United States, there's obviously been the pandemic, and there's still COVID infections are significant. And so we still want to be aware of that and caring about that. But there's also been a lot of political wrangling, what I call political stupid. It's all over the place. But even more troublesome to me is the adjustments socially. Even morally, that our country is going through. And there's a lot of difficulty there. And there's a lot of adversary towards, or adversarial thoughts towards Christians and the church. It feels like an avalanche. It feels like a tsunami. It feels like things have changed so quickly, and you think, how in the world did this happen? But the reality is it's been coming for a long time. There's been groundwork being done for that. And then it just came to fruition more recently. And it's difficult and it's hard. And I think one of the questions is, how will the church remain relevant? How will you and I remain relevant in this culture? And I have four thoughts for you. And I've said them before, but it is be tough-minded, soft-hearted, to be joy-filled, and to be spirit-led. And so in the next several weeks, I'd like to address some of those. And for today, just really briefly, I want to encourage us to be tough-minded people. Now, when I say tough-minded, I don't mean for us to be kind of callous, hard people, hard to get along with, kind of pugnacious or in a fighting spirit. What I really mean is to make sure that we have our thinking very clearly lined up, that we know what we believe and why we believe it and why it makes a difference. And to know that really, frankly, we have the conviction that the scriptures define and describe what life is really all about and how it works best and how God designed for it to work best. And that we won't get pushed around by all the different philosophies of life that kind of take us in wrong directions. I'm very concerned that the Christian church has become really a victim of the culture and bought into the culture. I even was listening to one speaker recently that said there's really no absolute truth, but the speaker rejected that the truth was relative, but he said it's more evolutionary, which if we really pick that apart, that means that truth is really simply relative to whatever somebody wants it to be, that it evolves to what they would prefer. So to say it's evolutionary is really to say that it's all relative. And we believe that truth is absolute. And that God in his nature is absolute. But that nature is not some sort of hardcore, mean-spirited. We know that God actually loves and loves deeply. And that these truths that he set out make life work well. Doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean there's not temptations. Doesn't mean there's not some tension in that. But that we really say that God has our best in mind. That's the nature of who he is and that he loves us. And we need to be tough-minded and know, okay, here's what the scriptures say. It's why it says it. And here's what God's thinking. And here's the difference it makes. And it's why it's best for us. That means for us to be really tough-minded. But I think we need to be then soft-hearted and kind towards people. Let's be joy-filled, because that's really absent in our world today. But let's be spirit-led. But today I want to encourage us to think with great thinking, to be tough-minded about the issues of our day. So, That means to get into the scriptures, to understand what they say, why they say it, the difference it makes, and why it's a reflection of both God's goodness for the good of mankind. So just some food for thought there, and be wrestling with that, but I'm convinced that that is one element of us continuing to be relevant in a culture that's become adversarial in many, many ways. Okay? All right, think about it. Go for it. We'll look forward to seeing you and doing the summer well together. Okay? All right, love you guys. Be well.